Hello creative friends, I'm Laura Beth Love, and as promised I'm back with another video, and I'm going to show you how I cut a porcelain plate with a manual glass cutter. Now if you saw my video that I put up months and months ago, I did basically kind of the same thing, but I was cutting a ceramic pottery plate, and when you cut that kind of material, a lot of times it'll crumble. But with a porcelain plate, you do get more exact, sharp cuts, usually. Now, there's a couple variables. The first variable is the weight and the shape of the plate. Now, not all plates are created equal. You have heavy, thick ironstone plates, you have giant platters, you have small saucers. This is probably about a 7 or so inch, like a side plate. This is a relatively thin plate, but it has this, what is called a foot on the bottom of the plate, and that's the rim on the bottom, so it doesn't slide around. You want to use, this is like a plastic shelf liner paper. You can get it at the dollar store or any, kind of hardware store. It's wonderful. It'll stop your plate from sliding around a little bit when you try to cut it. The glass cutter I'm using is just a standard heavy glass scorer that has a small blade, and you can put a few drops of oil in here, and that will keep the blade, keep it lubricated and cutting smoothly. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to choose a spot to start and end at, trying to preserve the design on the plate. I'm going to go in between two roses and then end up on the other side between two roses, and I'm going to try to keep it as straight as I can. Now, when you're cutting a plate, that is not a flat, like a flat piece of glass. This has, it goes down and it goes across and it goes up. It's, it's bumpy. You have to take your time, and there's always a risk of your blade skipping. So what we want to do is we want to go slow, press hard, try to hear a tearing sound when you're cutting, or I should say scoring, because when I think of cutting, I think of, a pair of scissors cutting, and that's not what this does. What this does is this has a tiny little round blade, and we're going to press it across, and it's going to create what is called a score, which is, it's like breaking the surface. And when we do that, we kind of like make a trail for where we want it to break. And then we use this tool. Mine are very, very old, as you can see, but they're great. These are breaking pliers, and this jaw has like a U shape, or I should say it upside down U. There, it's like a U. And what that does is we will put that over the end of where our score line is, and we'll squeeze this, and that will run. It's called running the score. That will run the score all the way through. Sometimes we have to turn the plate and do it on the other side. Sometimes when we do this, it's going to cut, break crooked. It doesn't always go exactly the way we want it, because we are not cutting a piece of glass. We are cutting, like I said, a plate that has variables. Variable number 2. Who knows where this plate was? Who knows if it's been, maybe it was dropped and it didn't break, but it has like, micro, tears inside of it. Not tears, but like, like a fracture. So there could be like hidden cracks in there. So what you want to do is you want to look at it first really well. Look at the top and the bottom and make sure that there's no cracks in there already, because once you get in there with these breaking pliers, I can guarantee you that once you squeeze it, it will not follow your score line. It will most definitely break where there is a previous crack. So I've checked this plate and it looks good. I'm going to very carefully start right here. Always wear safety glasses, and I'm going to use 2 hands to make sure I have the pressure that I want. And I'm going to try to end up between 2 roses. I kind of went like this. So we'll see. Now, the reason this has this heavy ball in the end is to tap, and that supposedly is supposed to help run the score through. Like I said, this is for glass, not for china. I'm using it for china. If you're making little squares that you want to use for mosaics, you very easily can use a mosaic tile cutting tool that has like 2 little blades, and you just kind of nips it, and it's tile nippers, or I think they're called. So this is for more, I use this for a more precise cut, so I can cut around things that I want to save. So let's find the end of my score line. I don't know whether you can see it. There it is. If I put the glare on it a little bit, you could kind of see it there. So we're going to go right here, and I'm going to position this, and I'm going to squeeze it just kind of gently, not really hard, and I'm going to listen. Ooh, I heard it. It started to break its way through. So now I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to find the other end of that score line, which is right about here. And like I said, it didn't cut I didn't have a very straight line, so when it breaks all the way through, I might have some like crumbles that break off over here, but that's okay. I've got a lot of usable pieces on this beautiful antique plate, and let's try. A little more. Well, it actually broke pretty well, but it's kind of funny that it went this way instead of this way, but that's okay. So because I already have a line that I scored through there, if you look at it close up, you can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that piece off right away so it doesn't land up like in a piece of jewelry and you can see a scratch mark through it. Now you've got that nasty sharp foot on the end of that, so I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to, again, try to make a straight line as best as I can. And now I'm just going to nip that off. There, that's all there is to it. Now you can throw these pieces away. You can find out from your township whether they take them for recycling. Some townships will accept, the different sort of materials, and sometimes pottery, china, old dinnerware is one of those materials that they'll accept. You want to be really careful because this is sharp edges on it. This especially will have sharp edges, especially where that foot end is. That gets really sharp, so be super careful. So now that we have our plate in 2 pieces, let's go to this piece, and I'm going to cut this one. Again, you don't want to cut it exactly through the center because I'd be cutting through that pretty pink rose. So going in between these two, again, I'm going to position my cutter. Now you can see that it jumped there. I tried to go slow, but it just, you have that, that indentation. So it's going to be fine. It's going to break just where I want it. Now, because this is a curve, the degree of the curve is very important. If I, for example, tried to take my cutter and start here and go and cut all the way around like this, and then I take my breaker and break it, it's going to break in a straight line right up that way. Same, with the smaller pieces. Now, this one I probably can get away with because it's not that much of a steep curve, a deep curve. So let me try it. Actually, there's 2 places you can cut this. You can do it here, or you can flip it over, and you can do it here, as long as you're not too close to this, this thick foot, because you want to be able to get your breaking pliers in there. Let's take this piece and let's cut it down a little bit more. I'm just going to, again, go between those roses. I didn't even have to go all the way through because I don't need to save the other side of the plate. I only need this piece cut. And now this is very manageable. There's that. And then one more. And breaking these plates down like this makes it so much easier for me to store these pieces, and then I don't have to have, stacks of plates everywhere. And that's about all there is to it. Now you can turn this into a piece of jewelry. You can use it in a piece of mosaic. My books, Boho Chic Jewelry and Soldered Alchemy, teach you how to make broken china jewelry in this book. I also have DVDs. But I wanted to show you how to do this because it's really cool. And I mean, if you already know how to make stained glass and you know how to use one of these, it's really simple. You'll know how to do it right away. It's no problem. It takes a little bit of practice, like I said, because of the you know, the bump in the plate. But, you know, when you're finished, you've got these beautiful pieces. And look how pretty that is. That's going to be a great necklace. So thanks for joining me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And I'm going to be back really soon with a brand new video. So stay tuned.